Welcome. Let's begin. Today is the 29th day of Lent, the Wednesday of the fourth week of Lent. A quote from St. Francis of Assisi. Be praised, my Lord, through our sister Mother Earth, who feeds us and rules us and produces various fruits with colored flowers and herbs. That is a beautiful way of looking at life, isn't it? Praising the Lord for the things He gives us on this earth that feed us, that give us beauty to look at, that enhance all of our senses. Take a moment today to reflect on God's creation and how you treat the animals and the environment around you. If you don't already recycle or compost, consider beginning today, or simply try to reduce your waste. I like to make my own fertilizer. I got a composting bucket. And all the scraps from food, of course it's raw mostly, cooked food, there's not much to that, but like peelings from potatoes or onions or eggshells or cut-offs from fruits and vegetables, apple cores, broccoli stems, even coffee grinds and tea grinds. I put all of that stuff in this bucket and I mix it with potting soil. And it gets turned and turned over and mixed in the bucket. And then I pour it into like a bigger container that's a little more flat where the air can hit it more, where it can dry it some. And let me tell you, I've been doing this now for years. But the funny thing that just came up out of this composting heap have sprung forth plants. Excuse me. Now I know what's in this composting heap. There are cut-offs from onions, like I said, it's the ends that have the little roots on it, and potatoes, cut-offs of potatoes that probably had little eyes on it. So I'm pretty sure that's what's coming up through this dirt. Apple seeds, so there's probably a little apple tree growing in there. And it's like an experimental garden for me. And it's so funny to just pass by it every day and look at it and to think, I just threw these scraps in the dirt and they're supposed to feed the soil and it creates nutrients that I like to put around my rose bushes. I have a beautiful rose garden that was once a very ugly spot of property where I live. It was like a little swamp area full of trees and weeds and poison ivy and everything you could imagine. We had to clean all of that up and hauled some dirt there. And of course we had burned some of the stuff that was there to try to get it down. And all the charred trees and bushes and everything that we didn't get up got mixed with the new soil and made a rose garden out of it. And you turning something ugly into something beautiful. And I like to take this composting, and in the spring I go around and I feed all my rose bushes. Now, I've got the rose garden, but there's also roses all over the yard. So I love roses, tea roses, grandiflorals, climbing ones. It doesn't matter. If it's a rose, I want it. So this composting stuff, the roses love it. And now I've got plants growing in the composting, and it's just an experiment for me. I'm not looking to dig it up and see what's under there. I don't want to disturb it. But I'm just going to let it do and see how far it gets. And it's fascinating to see. So recycling, composting, looking at what God gives us in the environment. It's a beautiful thing to just sit outside and listen to the birds, watch the squirrels, I have feeders in my yard feeding the wildlife. And just enjoying what God has given us. He's given us this beauty. Little statues of St. Francis of Assisi usually have, a little bird, squirrels, lambs, deer around his legs. We have to take care of the earth that God gave us. This is the only one we have, right? And I'm not going to get on a tyrant about global changes and climate and all this stuff. There's enough of that. There are cycles to this earth. We go through seasons. Nothing is new under the sun. God knows everything. And God will take care of this place. We have to love and take care of it too. We have to appreciate it. So just take some time and enjoy what God has given us today. Take in a good deep breath of fresh air. Go for a walk. Enjoy God's gift. Let's look at the book of John, chapter 5, verse 17 through 18. Jesus answered the Jews, "My Father is at work until now, so I am at work." For this reason, they tried all the more to kill him, because he not only broke the Sabbath, but he also called God his own Father, making himself equal to God. You need to pray for those who oppose the message of the gospel and seek to silence the voice of God. There are a lot of people out there, and it's been like that for all time. And it will always be that way. The people don't want to hear the word of the Lord. Our beautiful disciples were persecuted for it. They thought that when they crucified Jesus, that would be the end of it. The rest of them would just shut up and be quiet and go about their life, and there would be no more of that. Oh, but they wasn't planning on it fueling the fire even more to spread the word about God's kingdom and love and mercy. What is so wrong about that? I just don't understand. And to those who don't want to hear it, to those who oppose it, to those who fight against it, it's got to be demonic what's pushing that against it. If you don't want to hear what God had to say, you don't want to hear what Jesus's words were, you don't want to believe in love and grace and unity, you're just all about hate and discrimination and violence, destruction. There's nothing but evilness in that. Jesus is all love. He is God in the flesh. He's perfect. And to say that it doesn't exist, to say that Jesus is not the Savior of humankind, you're just believing in what the devil's telling you, all the lies he's whispering in your ear. And nothing good is going to come of that. That's a promise. I mean, it's not my promise. It's what God promises. You shall have no other God but him. We went over the 10 Commandments. If you don't believe that he sent his son here for us, then you're going to be lost. And the fires of hell are just getting stoked up for every soul he can drag down there. I'm talking about the devil. The devil will drag as many souls to him as he can. That is his only purpose. Trying to undo everything that's good that God did that was perfect. but the Bible tells us he will never succeed. He may think he's getting ahead, but God created him too. So you know what? The devil's not going to win this fight. May look like he's trailing ahead, but he's not going to win. So you got to pray even for your enemies. You got to pray for those who don't want to hear it. Something's going to get to them one day, and they might turn around and have a change of heart. Until that day, we have to pray for them. Thank you for joining me today. You have a blessed one. Goodbye.